Globally, the World Health Organization estimates a shortage of nearly 6 million nurses. 6 million. Yet we're looking at this incredibly frustrating paradox where, in certain regions, highly trained nurses literally cannot find work. It makes no sense, right? Well, hello and welcome to This Explainer. Today we are unpacking a truly paradigm-shifting text. We're diving into Chiwanze Salifu's eye-opening book, Nursing Entrepreneurship, Empowering Care in Cameroon. If you've ever wondered how hard-earned medical knowledge actually translates, or, sometimes critically fails to translate into sustainable opportunities, you are in the exact right place. We're going to explore how transforming healthcare education into entrepreneurial action might just be the absolute blueprint for a healthier, more autonomous future. So think about this. What if nurses created their own opportunities? It sounds like a super simple proposition, but it completely turns our deeply ingrained traditional assumptions about nursing careers totally upside down. I mean, we almost always picture nurses working within strict, pre-existing hospital hierarchies, right? We see them in uniform, waiting for a shift to start, or scanning a hospital bulletin board for an open position. But what if nursing could also be this proactive path to innovation, financial independence, and massive social impact? Actually, scratch that. What if it should be? Instead of asking, who is going to hire them? What if they asked, hey, who can I build a healthcare service for? Keep that transformative idea right in the back of your mind as we go through this material. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the healthcare dilemma. To really grasp why Salifu's message is so incredibly urgent right now, we've got to ground ourselves in the systemic crisis that trained medical staff are facing today. What's absolutely fascinating here is the stark contrast between the frustrating reality of today and what is entirely possible for tomorrow. Let's look at the traditional reality in Cameroon. Honestly, it's pretty bleak for a lot of graduates. You've got thousands of highly trained, incredibly capable nurses hitting a massive brick wall the second they earn their degrees. Just imagine dedicating years to rigorous study, passing all your exams, only to face severe underemployment and rock-bottom salaries. It's an agonizing paradox. You literally have these long, desperate queues of patients at rural clinics who urgently need care, while fully qualified nurses are sitting at home trapped in this grueling search for scarce official hospital jobs. The system just hasn't prepped them for a world where traditional jobs aren't guaranteed. But then contrast that with the entrepreneurial reality. This is where things get exciting. It's a radical, refreshing vision. Instead of just sitting around waiting for a scarce position to magically open up, nurses step out as proactive solution builders. They leverage independent service delivery, and they apply sharp business-minded thinking to create sustainable solutions that directly serve the urgent needs of their communities. It's a total game changer. And to truly understand this shift, we must look at a personal story. Section 2, One Nurse's Journey. Because, we can't just look at macro-level data or dry economic theory here. We have to look at the deeply personal lived experience of the author himself, Chiwanze Salifu. This brilliantly illustrates that the concepts we're talking about aren't just academic theory. They are forged in deep resilience and a very real-world journey. Salifu's story kicks off in his childhood in Baba 1. That's a village in the Babessi subdivision of Cameroon's northwest region. Now picture growing up in a setting where the nearest major hospital is miles and miles away over really rough terrain. In those rural conditions, sickness isn't just a minor inconvenience, it is a full-blown crisis. But this environment was also shaped by incredibly strong community values. As a youth, Salifu was deeply inspired by a local village nurse. This single individual was the community's absolute lifeline. This nurse wasn't just handing out pills, they were dispensing education, stability, and genuine care. Salifu saw firsthand that nursing at its absolute core is a form of community leadership. That specific spark propelled him right through his university years, where he earned his bachelor's degree in nursing. But his vision was always broader than just clinical skills. Fast forward to the present day, and he is so much more than a traditional nurse. He is a mentor, a fierce community health advocate, an author, and a father of 7. His entire life has really been about finding innovative ways to overcome limited resources, proving that sheer resilience can carve out entirely new pathways. And that brings us to how his background fueled his mission. Section 3, the entrepreneurial solution. So the crucial point is defining exactly what we mean when we talk about this new framework. Nursing entrepreneurship is defined as the practice of nurses moving beyond traditional roles to become innovators, entrepreneurs, and solution builders who create sustainable healthcare pathways. It is a fundamental paradigm shift from being a dependent employee to an empowered creator. Let's break down what this actually looks like in practice. Imagine a nurse who notices that elderly patients with chronic illnesses, like diabetes, for example, in their specific neighborhood are constantly struggling to travel all the way to the main hospital for routine checkups. Under this new framework, instead of just crossing their fingers and hoping a hospital launches an outreach program someday, the nurse launches a localized home care consultation business. They take charge, they manage the outreach, they visit the patients to monitor their blood sugar, and they charge a fair, sustainable fee for that specialized convenience. They see the gap and boom, they step right in to fill it independently.
Now, how do we make this happen? Let's check out Section 4, Tools for Transformation.
I mean, having a grand vision for independent healthcare delivery is wonderful, right? But how do you actually execute it on a random Monday morning? Well, the author provides this highly practical, robust blueprint designed for nursing students, practicing nurses, educators, and policymakers alike. Because if you want to step into an independent role, passion alone just isn't going to cut it. You need a specific toolkit. First up, innovation strategies. This is all about identifying a highly specific gap, like maybe noticing that working mothers are constantly missing infant checkups during the week, and then innovating a weekend pop-up clinic model just for them. Next, the book tackles marketing techniques. And hey, we aren't talking about flashy highway billboards here. For a nurse entrepreneur, this means ethical, trust-based community marketing. It might look like hosting a free public workshop on seasonal hygiene to establish yourself as an authority. That way, when a family needs paid care later on, they call the expert they already know and trust. Then there's financial literacy. This is huge. Nursing schools simply don't teach profit margins. But if you're bootstrapping a community clinic, you absolutely must know how to budget for diagnostic equipment, how to price a home visit so it's actually affordable for the patient, and how to manage cash flow so your service survives month to month. Finally, the toolkit highlights digital health tools. We're not talking about multi-million-dollar hospital software. It means using basic, accessible tech. Think a secure WhatsApp line for reliable patient follow-ups, or simple cloud spreadsheets for electronic health records so vital histories aren't lost in a mountain of paper files. Mastering these highly practical elements is what actually allows a nurse to bridge that gap between clinical knowledge and real-world business execution. Let's move to and see how this builds into something even bigger. Section 5, A Healthier Future. Listen to this quote from the book. More than a book, this is a movement toward dignity, opportunity, and better healthcare for communities. That singular statement is the absolute heart of this explainer. When nurses are empowered with these business skills to build their own localized practices, that immediate local underemployment crisis we talked about, it vanishes. But if we zoom out, the impact is even more profound. The entire world is facing a severe crisis in healthcare delivery, especially in rural or structurally underserved areas. And that's true whether we're talking about sub-Saharan Africa or the rural American Midwest. If empowered nurses can essentially hack the system by becoming business owners, they effectively create this decentralized, highly resilient healthcare web. Patients get faster, more accessible care. It builds unshakable community trust, and ultimately, it yields healthier patients and incredibly confident, financially secure medical professionals. It's a win-win all around. Which brings us to our final takeaway, and a very direct question for you to chew on. How might you rethink the future of healthcare in your own community? Whether you are in Cameroon or absolutely anywhere else in the world, the core principles of transforming deep knowledge into sustainable opportunity apply universally. If nurses can boldly lead change and build independent, profitable solutions for community health, what outdated, inefficient systems right around you are just waiting for an entrepreneurial mind to fix them? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the traditional reality, and I'll see you next time.